The PG era is finally over in WWE. According to Andrew Zering of the Madman podcast, this Monday night on Monday Night Raw is the change of the guard, a discussion that's been going on for years. Of course, quoted also by WrestleVotes in their tweets. WWE is finally going to go with Monday Night Raw as a TV-14 product once again. So, Attitude Era is back, is it? Ruthless Aggression is back. Or is it? I'm going to actually look at both sides now of the argument and see if actually there's going to be much, if any, change at all to WWE. Now, for those who remember the Attitude Era, will remember an era of gritty storylines, swearing, violence to a different level, and I question if that violence would be accepted in today's product. Now, moving to TV-14 is one thing, but if you saw some of the stuff go down that we saw in the Attitude Era today, I do think we're living in a different time. We're not going to go exactly back to what we saw before. I'm thinking about Kai Time, Val Venus, Choppy PP. That stuff ain't gonna be happening. We may see the 24/7 championship go back into sort of more of a hardcore championship. That could be quite fun. We see a few more weapons being involved, maybe instead of just the roll-up championship. Maybe it could be a fun element of the TV show once again, like when Crash Holly had it, running away from people like Hardcore and stuff like that. We could get that sort of stuff back, great, but at the same time, are we going to get chair shots to the head? No, nor should we, by the way. Are people going to dive off balconies every second week like they did back then? Not at all. WWE is going to take care of their performers. They're not going to make them go out and do reckless things. They already put their bodies on the line and, in my opinion, give a great in-ring product already. So from that side of things, I don't think much is going to change, especially when weapons and gimmick matches are still used currently in the PG era. We see chairs being used. We see people go through tables. We see stipulations. Becky Lynch and Asuka having a great weapons match on Raw to close off the show on July 4th week. So we get that sort of stuff already in a PG environment. So if we're going from the in-ring perspective, let's look at the storyline perspective. Let's look at perhaps the most successful storyline there ever was. Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Vince McMahon. That was probably the most successful, and that was what got WWE over the line. Forget all the underlining characters. Yes, they played their part on TV and they fit the time period. We had a Val Venus, we had a Godfather, we had people like that, but would they be accepted in today's market? I'm not so sure. We have, things have moved on. Times have changed. We're not going to go back to bra and panties matches and mud wrestling. Let's hope not. That would take the women's division many, many steps back to how far forward we've got it in the current climate. So Stone Cold Steve Austin and Vince McMahon. Some of the best stuff that they did, yes, was great with some of the swearing they would do, but it was mainly to do with great creative, great, audience participation. People were excited with the creative they were given. You saw what Austin was doing every week with, say, Vince McMahon's Corvette, putting it with cement. That's not a TV-14 thing. That's arguably a PG thing. The beer bath that was done with the truck being brought down. The fact that when the truck was brought down and Austin would go on top of it and jump off and give a clothesline to Vince McMahon the night after he'd been stripped of the championship. The fact that he was arrested and taken out of the building. This stuff isn't TV-14. This stuff could be done now. It's a creative thing that WWE isn't giving us. And I think, yes, you might be able to swear a bit more. You can drop an S-bomb here and there, or whatever you want to say. But is that really going to make the product much better? Creatively, in my opinion, WWE has been tired for many, many years. They have got no fresh, no new ideas. Yes, stuff that they can give us can be fun, but I wouldn't turn around and say that it's mind-blowing and new and stuff we haven't seen before. When we do get glimpses of it here and there, it's usually a couple of minutes on a 3-hour show, so it doesn't stand out like it perhaps would have done back then on 2-hour shows or 1-hour shows when Raw was back at those levels in the 90s, for example. So I think my argument with this video really is much going to change? Personally, I don't see it, and you can turn around and say, well, maybe we can get more of an AEW-like product, and again, I think it's the same sort of thing. Yes, sometimes we'll get violent things, like we got Blood and Guts as a special event. You'll get certain things like next week with the barbed wire match that we're going to get next week. That is violent, but that may upset some sponsorships. If WWE goes down that avenue and they upset some of their sponsors, they're on a different level to any other wrestling promotion. If they do that and they upset the sponsors or the TV networks of like the Fox or USA Network, companies like that, they're going to start to pull away and not put the money into WWE. If they do with the charities, all that sort of stuff, people will start pulling out and WWE will retract from what they may be doing going forward. I think personally the changes we may see to TV programming may be subtle. I hope personally that creatively they will feel that they're not as chained up as what they have been. If they can get themselves where they're back out giving us something a bit fresh and they just don't feel like they can take a chance again, that could be a good thing, that could be a bonus, and that's where I hope that I look back at this video in 3 to 6 months and say I was wrong. But in the meantime, personally, I'm going to say I don't think much is going to change. I think we're going to get the same tied storylines. Yes, we may get some swearing here and there, but if that's all we're going to get, I don't think it's going to do much for me, much more than what I'm seeing already on the current WWE product. So that's going to be my take on it, but I want to know your take on it in the comments below. Will there be change? Is it an exciting time right now to be watching Monday Night Raw again? Of course, TV-14, like I say, the shackles are off, you can do more, but what stuff can you actually do that you could do back then that you can't do now? Certainly for me, if it's my personal preference, I would like to see the company evolve rather than sort of saying, oh, Attitude Era or Ruthless Aggression, those sort of errors. Try and take it into a fresh, modern direction. Try and grit it up. Try and make exciting storylines that will get us hooked each and every week. I say for the longest time on this channel, I need some cliffhangers in my WWE. If you've got something for me holding on, then I'm going to be really into it. And for me, you can do those storylines, whether it's PG or TV-14. For me, the rating doesn't matter. Give me a quality product. That's what I personally want to see. And before I leave you, I'm just going to mention a few storylines that have happened during the PG era, which just goes to show that you don't need to be TV-14. Just go back to 2009, Randy Orton's build to WrestleMania 25 against Triple H. Yes, it was wacky with the sort of break-in and stuff like that, the attack on Stephanie McMahon. I'm still not sure how you'd fully get away with that today, but that's been done on a PG show. Think about the rise of The Shield, how they've sort of gone over in WWE over the last decade. As a group, they were certainly successful. Let's even look in the modern time, the head of the table. You can get over with legitimate great storylines, just like you did with Jey Uso. How about we think about the Nexus, that sort of takeover of Monday Night Raw? Why not the pipe bomb from CM Punk? And of course, how Punk went to go and become the hottest star in pro wrestling. We're talking about the rise of the indie stars as well, about Daniel Bryan's Yes movement. And speaking of Daniel Bryan, how about the time that him and Kane were with Dr. Shelby? Of course, that was great fun back in 2012. We had the likes of AJ Styles debuting and wanting to beat up John Cena, with the Festival of Friendship with Kevin Owens and Chris Jericho. We've even had the Women's Evolution with their own pay-per-view, the Four Horsewomen, Ronda Rousey, Alexa Bliss, Asuka, Bianca Belair, and more have all made women's wrestling the best it's ever been. And I go on to mention as well about characteristics. I mentioned head of the table Roman Reigns. Becky Lynch right now with her characteristics in the last 12 months have been on a different level, and all of that stuff put together has been done in PG. Give me good creative, you'll give me good TV regardless of the rating of your show. But now I really am going to stop babbling on. I'm going to leave you here. So please let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you've enjoyed this video, then please like, share, and subscribe to SCW. More videos will be on the way for you. We're in SummerSlam season, so many videos with SummerSlam will be on the way, including what is the greatest SummerSlam event of all time. Going to get many content creators joining me on that video, which should be dropping in around about a week's time. But that's all for me. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time here on SCW.